what we discovered was incredible, that in the right condition, there can be what we call the human-AI hybrid team. And if these conditions are met, the accuracy of the human-AI hybrid is higher than the human alone and the AI alone.
Andrea Cherubini, very warm welcome to the Scope Forward show. You're the Senior Vice President for Science, AI, and Data at Cosmo Intelligent Medical Devices, which is a part of Cosmo Pharmaceuticals. So very warm welcome once again.
Thank you, Praveen. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Andrea, I want to get started with the beginning. Even before Cosmo started partnering with Medtronic on GI Genius, how did Cosmo IMD as a division get formed, and what was the objective? How did you get started on this journey with AI in gastroenterology?
It was like the perfect storm. I come from academy, and I've been interested in medical imaging and computer diagnosis for most of my career. And also with me, my partners, Nyango Dean, Giulio Evangelisti, had this company that was specialized in medical imaging. And between the clients, there was Cosmo Pharmaceuticals, which is this pharmaceutical company specialized in GI. And where was the perfect storm? Basically, they had the chance for a clinical study, so with the quality of a typical pharma clinical study, to gather a lot of videos from colonoscopy. At that time, it was 2017, it was not normal to record video of colonoscopy. So we recognized an opportunity when AI was not, the buzzword that is today, to develop for the first time a solution for polyp detection to reduce the number of missed lesions in colonoscopy. Cosmo Pharmaceuticals was really, enthusiastic about this idea. So we embarked on the project, and we very quickly prototyped what would become a GI Genius. That's basically the story. So we had the chance to really start from the top with a very high quality data set, with the best AI engineers, and very good knowledge of medical imaging and clinical studies. At that time, we met Medtronic, that was very interested in AI. And basically, the agreement was like the perfect storm. So everything started from there.
Now, your background is in physics, if I recall correctly. And how did you move in the direction of medical AI personally?
I did start, as a physicist, but medicine was very close to my heart, and also neuroscience in particular. So at the beginning of my career, I've tried, to find a space where AI could help in the diagnosis of neurological diseases. However, I have to confess that I was a bit frustrated because even if it was possible somehow to help these patients with AI, there was very little that could make a difference for this patient, at least in this era and today. I had the chance to move to gastroenterology. I discovered that this is a field where, an early diagnosis can really make a difference for a patient. It's a difference between a life and death. So for me personally, it's really, engaging and motivating to work in this field. And it's a luck, actually, to have had the chance to develop with the entire team, with Cosmo, with Medtronic, such a device that has been impacting already, millions of patients since the launch.
Superb. Can you bring us up to speed with the developments and the updates with GI Genius since its launch, first in Europe and then elsewhere, and then in the US as well now?
Everybody could think that GI Genius is just a polyp detection, but actually for us, polyp detection since the beginning was just the start, the excuse, to come to the healthcare. So our aim was really to develop a solution that could bring AI to the entire endoscopy room, real-time AI for the endoscopy room and beyond. So we were the first to clear with the de novo process in the FDA a polyp detection system, which we consider a per frame AI, meaning an AI that outputs a prediction on each frame. In this case, it answers the question, is there a polyp in this frame? However, in our pipeline, we already intended to move to an per object AI, where the dimension of time would come into place. So, for example, we cleared in Europe and other countries, not in the US currently, a feature that is called characterization, which basically anticipates the potential histology of each lesion. This is a per object AI because it collects several opinions across all the frames where a polyp is present to output a comprehensive prediction. But we are moving even further. So it's already cleared today with the FDA a new version of AI that is starting to give prediction at a per patient level. So it analyzes the entire procedure and is able to output very important quality parameters like bowel cleanliness, cecal intubation, withdrawal time, and procedure time. And these are very important parameters that are known to be linked to the quality of the colonoscopy, which is to link it to the ADR and other key performance indicators of the colonoscopy. But, again, in our pipeline, we got even more impressive AI. The power of AI today is incredible. So the next generations of GI Genius will keep improving following the incredible progress in this field.
Since your launch and maybe even leading up to that in the US, so there are several AI startups or approaches in gastroenterology. The field somehow lends itself very nicely to computer vision aided AI. How does GI Genius today differ from the other products which are in the market or in the pipeline from whatever you know?
Well, thank you for this question because it is very relevant. Since the beginning, the GI Genius module, the hardware part that comes into the endoscopy room, was designed with this concept of hosting several AI. So AI engine inside the hardware, which is used for inference, it is really powerful. So it was designed very powerful since the beginning, even too powerful, for just polyp detection, because we had this plan in mind. First of all, we believe that real-time AI done in the endoscopy room was very important for safety reason, because having the ability to make an AI prediction in the endoscopy room is really relevant to decrease, to minimize the lag time. So this is maybe already a differentiator with some other, companies that made the choice to give the output maybe on a second screen or maybe using the cloud. However, we recognize also another thing. You mentioned that there are many startups, and this is true because there are many, many unsolved clinical need in this space. And also we recognize that the only way to basically bring all this potential AI to the patient, which is our aim, is through collaboration. For this reason, last year, we launched together with Medtronic and also NVIDIA, the AI Access Initiative, and which basically is a marketplace that is trying to solve the problem, the time to market problem for all these startups. So in very simple terms, it allows these startups to use the GI Genius hardware as a vector to bring their solution to the patient. So you can think of the GI Genius hardware part as a smart TV. One of the applications will always be the application that we develop for colon at Cosmo IMD, that from this year will be called Colon Pro. But of course, there is room for other potential application for colon, for upper GI, for endoscopy in general.
Now, I was there at that GI Genius Summit last year when this announcement was made with NVIDIA, Medtronic, and Cosmo. And I thought it was very innovative to come up with a platform inviting other companies, startups to develop on your platform. What has been the progress since that point? Like, what kind of applications are coming out right now?
I cannot, disclose precise applications that, and also the companies that have approached us, but there are many, many companies, most, of the companies in this field that have shown interest in the AI access. Some of them are just in the exploratory discussion phase, but there are others that have already gone beyond, very, ahead in the workflow to bring this application to the GI Genius platform and are already in the regulatory stage where they are approving their software as a medical device. And as soon as this regulatory stage is completed, it will be possible to deploy their application on the hardware distributed by Medtronic.
Very interesting, Andrea. So I'm curious about the numbers. Is this a handful of applications or is it in the tens or, hundreds? Like, what is the scale of adoption here?
As you can imagine, you follow this field better than anyone else. There are not hundreds of possible unmet needs, but there are surely, tens of unmet needs and tens of startups, each with their own unique approach to solving the field. Our aim is to make AI access an open platform. So we basically believe that any of the companies, of the partners that wish to bring their application on AI access, as long as they meet the very high quality standards that are needed, both from a regulatory point of view, but also because this is an AI that will be hosted on Medtronic, branded hardware. So we are open to anybody.
Now, if someone listening to what you're saying, like an innovator or a gastroenterologist even, wants to approach this or make something happen on the GI Genius platform, what exactly do they need to do? How do they go about it? Do they reach out to you? Is there a site they go to fill up information? What happens?
So on our website, cosmoimd.com, there is the Innovation Center page where anybody with, an idea, being this, a very well-established company or a single innovator can apply. Of course, we got, a very well-structured workflow to participate in this initiative. So it should be clear that we encourage everybody, but companies that are in a very well advanced stage, of in the path to a product will find the process easier because they already know all the tips and tricks of trade. However, we encourage everybody, even, single inventors. In the interest of transparency, we've also shared a public dataset of colonoscopy videos that are currently can be found on the Figshare platform under the name Real Colon to let anybody who has an interest in developing solutions for AI in colonoscopy can start, seeing if their idea can be turned into a product to save life for patients in GI.
And that's a website? Where is this real colon? How do they get access to it? Does somebody just Google it or how do they get to that?
They can Google it or they can find the direct link again on the Cosmo IMD website in the page where we share scientific evidence that we produce ourselves around the GI Genius. Because let me also tell this, we believe in the transparently sharing all the details on the AI we do. So this means that we engage directly with the scientific community, publishing the way we do AI, the data that we use to train AI, so that each stakeholders, being, the physicians who are our customers, but also the patients that have got, the chance to have their colonoscopy performed using our AI, but even, the regulatory bodies can see the way we build things.
Excellent. Now, there's a lot of research that's come out after the launch of GI Genius in the US. And these publications are demonstrating repeatedly that AI is indeed useful. So I want your reflections on that. What have you learned after all these publications?
A ton. It's been, a privilege to see scientific community engage in this discussion. So I'm really proud that to see that in a very few years. So please consider that the de novo process was, cleared the GI Genius in 2021, which seems age ago, but it's just 3 years from now. And we already had more than 30 publications, 8 randomized controlled trials of this device, which is incredible. And what does it mean? Well, this means, first of all, that this is one of the most tested AI platform in medicine in general. But also means that we have learned, for example, that there are several important things using AI in the field, in the real world. So, for example, there is a component of the physician acceptance toward AI that somehow modulates the amount by which each physician gains from AI. So there are physicians that are natural in using the AI, and they see, for example, their ADR improvement incredibly. And there are other which, maybe a lowest level of acceptance that see few improvements compared to the first field. I think that it is a challenge for us and for the scientific community in general is to bring the positive effect of the AI to everybody. So there is need now to understand which are the factors that modulates this thing. Another very important thing that I've learned is about the human AI interaction. So we have observed, for example, in the AI characterization process, where the AI is able to output, a prediction, somehow a diagnosis around a single polyp, we've asked ourselves, would the physician follow blindly the suggestion of the AI? Or would it refuse it completely, or somehow in between? What we discovered was incredible, that in the right condition, there can be what we call the human AI hybrid team. And if these conditions are met, the accuracy of the human AI hybrid is higher than the human alone and the AI alone. And the trick is the AI should communicate to the physician very clearly the boundaries of its prediction. In this way, the physician can take the best of AI, whereas sticking with his or her own prediction whenever feels that the AI is uncertain. And this is a very, very nice, discovery that basically paved the way also to maybe rethink the way physicians are trained today.
What is the biggest resistance mindset wise amongst physicians that you routinely see?
I think that by engaging in discussion with the several physicians who have been using AI, I've noticed that youngest physicians who are maybe more prone to technology, there are now a generation of physicians that has been using AI since the beginning. So they really do not even see the possibility of not using AI. Where there is a generation that has been, somehow in between. And in this generation, again, there are several factors, maybe the acceptance of the technology or, some other resistance. We do not have a clear answer to that, but it's very important, again, to meet also these people. So, I somehow empathize with this category because I remember that when I had for the first time in my car, the possibility of the radar, to reverse and to park. At the beginning, it was a bit something that was annoying me with all this beep, beep, beep. Now I could not even think, of having a car without this, aid to park the car.
Andrea, I want to brainstorm one thing, with you, with all the advent of AI developments in the last 1 year, not within medicine, but outside of medicine. And I'm obviously referring to OpenAI and everything that has followed in the last year plus, since I think November of 2022, when the launch happened there. Have you seen the video, the Sora AI generation video? And it's impressive, right? Like, so, and this is just the beginning. And if you put that on an exponential curve, it's only going to get better. In a different way, when you look at that, it is computer vision also in action, right? Like, so it knows it's creating video. And my question, or it's a thought experiment again, is how difficult would it be for one of these AIs, which are getting more and more powerful out there? And there's a lot of money, lot of innovation that's happening. Maybe it's not pertaining to medicine, maybe not even gastroenterology, but still it's getting trained and it's getting very, very good and very sophisticated. What if one day an OpenAI algorithm, or like, maybe if not from OpenAI, then from maybe Stability AI, or one of these, put the algorithm out there which gives the capability to compete with, let's say, GI Genius, and to be able to detect at that degree, at that level? Do you worry about it? Do you think about this?
First of all, I welcome technology. I think that whenever this is an enabling tool, we as human beings should embrace enabling tool and think positively how it can impact the way we do things. And so medicine is not, different from any other field. So no worried. We think ahead. So my job as Senior Vice President of Science, AI, and Data is to think today of the product that will, come to the field in 3-4 years from now. So today, I've got meetings with my team where we discuss something that is out of science fiction today, and this is possible. Again, what is my prediction? What I'm seeing is that AI is very good at automatizing tasks. So at taking out of the table things that are very, repetitive and time consuming. So not only in real time, but also, in every aspect of your daily routine that takes the time out of your most important things. What is the reverse of this aspect, which sounds nice, is that we have to see that at a certain point, human will always be in the loop, especially in a highly regulated industry like healthcare. And this is for good reason, because this AI is going to be used on patients. So it is very important that all these innovation follow the regulatory process. However, what will happen is that what will be left to the physician will be mostly the most difficult part of the job. Is a bit like what's happening today with, with airplane pilots. 99% of their time is now just seeing the computer do everything. But they have to be there when things go wrong. So they will have to be, at the cockpit doing, the most difficult decision. And I see a trend in every field, also in healthcare, that this will be the case. AI will be omnipresent, but, for the boring part, they will always be needed for the most difficult part.
Interesting. I like your response. There's one more thought experiment that I want to do with you. Like, so which is, now this AI coupled with hardware could be potentially hacked, right? And with the kind of videos that people are generating, like you're generating vehicles, you're generating people, you're thinking of something, and the AI is creating these videos for you. I've always wondered in the future, and I'm talking on behalf of the hackers out there, right? Like, what if somebody creates, polyp videos and introduces it, and then it becomes a big medical legal issue, because how do you prove that that was AI generated? It was not the real one. I can see several challenges coming up, and maybe there could be business problems that can be solved or opportunities. But I wonder if you think about these things as well.
We always do think about everything. So what could possibly go wrong and so on. So there are very important, safeguards today that are impossible to overcome. So basically, both on the cybersecurity issue, so it's not, easy to hack into a medical device because there are many level of protections. Some of them I cannot divulge here. But it's not, just a normal computer. And also the data that is used to train the AI, which must be high quality, is gathered through clinical studies. So, not normally through an uncontrolled way. So clinical study by design are extremely controlled in many different aspects. So it's not possible, to introduce artificially generated content in that context. But I see actually the positive side of this. It is possible today to generate artificial video with artificial polyps, and maybe with some very difficult to spot polyp like sessile cell deletion and so on. This video, in my opinion, will be very important to train the future generation of endoscopists because they can be exposed very quickly to a large amount of lesions that would be otherwise very difficult in their career to see in such, a short amount of time. So, as always, there is a positive side to each aspect of the technology.
Now, GI Genius has got thousands of installations across the world, and majority of which is in the US. What do you see happen over the next 3 to 5 year time frame?
First of all, I do hope that the success of GI Genius with our partner Medtronic will, keep the momentum. So being the most powerful and most appreciated AI platform in this field. And I hope that our AI Access initiative will be the door to several other companies to deliver their application through this platform for not only, colon, but also endoscopy in general, and even beyond endoscopy. There is such an amount of unmet clinical need, not only in the video, but also in the operating room as a whole. Lot of process to optimize, not only the visual, detection, but also the quality of the procedure itself. Already with the most recent version of our software cleared by the FDA, we are addressing somehow the issue of quality during the procedure. But this can be expanded even beyond GI.
My final question, Andrea, and I ask the same question pretty much every interview on the Scope Forward show, which is, what is the future of gastroenterology from the lens that you're seeing? Based on everything that you know, what does the future look like?
I think that this technology is an enabling technology for a very important issue. I mentioned the quality. So one of the issues is to increase the quality for the benefits of patients. Another issue is the access to screening. So there are difficulties for patients to access screening by, enabling complex procedure or difficult procedure to, enabling the access to every physician. It will ease the access also for patients, maybe also in, underserved community to have access to high quality procedure. And again, finally, I think that there are some potential application of AI today that will make it possible things that today are in the science fiction realm, like predicting when a lesion will appear, or is most probable for a single patient, or it can be, tailored to the medical history of a single patient. These are in the science fiction domain somehow, but these are possibly from the technology point of view already today. And I'm looking forward to see this implemented as a vision in the near future.
Great. And I'm looking forward to that future. Are there any final comments that you want to leave us with?
Well, no, I would like to thank you because to giving me the chance to talk about these topics that are very close to my heart. I feel very lucky that I had the chance to bring DI to the real world and get back this experience. So it's been a privilege, and sharing this privilege with you, it's very, important for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrea Cherubini. This has been a wonderful conversation. And, as always, I end up learning a lot about where the direction of the industry is going. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective.
Thank you.